And I go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you what I'm working on and things going on at Stampin' Up! And in the crafting world. And I have been working through all of the templates that are on page 22 of the annual catalog, the Stampin' Up! 2024-2025 annual catalog. And I'm up to sketch number or template number 12, and that is what I'm going to share with you today. And then I have a little bit extra for you because as I was working on it, I kind of went off tangent and came up with some other things. So I'm looking forward to showing it to you. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll put my glasses back on. Let's see. Oops. Let's just make the desktop. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the template. That is the 12th one on the page. I go across the page, just so you know. This is the first one in the second row. And you'll see that it has all these wonderful circles. And I love working with circles because they're just really simple, and we have some great ways to do it. And this one features two of our punches. This is the 2 3/8 inch punch for the largest circle, and the 1 3/4 inch punch for the smaller one. Now we also have dies and other size circles that you could do this with, but I chose to do it with those particular sizes. So the card is 4 1/4 inches across, 5 1/2 inches tall, and then each of these circles is 1 3/4 inches. So 1 3/4, 1 3/4. This one is 2 3/8, and then this panel here is 5 1/2 by 3, and that's it. So those are the measurements for this card, and I found it very, very easy to work with, easy to prep, and you can use all kinds of different designer series papers and embossing folders and whatever you've got on your desk, stamps, make your own backgrounds, make your own designs for the circles. But let's go ahead and see what I did. So when I let me just say, when I see something like this, these look like little backgrounds to me, and then this becomes my focal point. Okay, so it screamed at me, focal point right here in the center. And when I saw that, I knew that I wanted to use the Adventurous Sky stamps bundle, stamp set and set of dies, because it has some great focal points. You've got this big airplane, plus it's always nice to have some masculine cards every so often. So anyway, it's got this great larger airplane. We've got some smaller ones too, and you can make a lot of backgrounds, but here you'll see on the dies, you can actually create an airplane, which we're going to do later, or you can die cut out the larger airplane, which I'm going to do first. And again, you can make your backgrounds, and it even comes with propellers so that you can add that to the front of your airplane. So I was kind of excited to pull this out. I haven't played with it really since Father's Day, and that's how I decided where to go with this. So let's get started on the card that I made. I'm going to start with a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my airplane. So I showed you in the stamp set. This is the airplane. Whoop, very dirty block. I have to work on that. So it is one of the larger airplanes, and I love that it's sketched. And I'm using my Night of 8 Navy ink pad to stamp it onto a piece of scratch paper. And this literally was scratch paper sitting on my desk. So I use that, and then I'm going to take the die and I'm going to line it up, and look how it outlines it perfectly to get that airplane. So I'm going to put that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and voila, from the magic of television, I have a perfect airplane that has a lot of little detail on there, and looks like the propeller is spinning, and just very cool. So that is going to be my focal point. Now I have to build the card around it. So what I did was I took piece of Night of Navy cardstock, folded it in half. And for the centerpiece of the card, that 5.5 by 3 inches. Now this is the designer series paper called Take to the Skies. Take to the Sky, singular. And this is clouds on this one. So I'm going to just adhere this. I told you the measurements for that. 3 by 5.5. So it goes straight to the top and to the bottom. And here we have a nice background for an airplane, right? And again, it's that designer series paper. Now, going with that designer series paper as well, I punched out a few circles. And as I said, these are the 1 3/4 inch circles. And I think I wanted to use this side on this one so you can see the different designs. And then this is kind of like a flight plan, and I just like the way that that looks, and it makes it easy. We can even stamp on it because there's lots of white space. So we're just going to lay them down in the same way that they are on the template. I think that's a fun paper too on the back, right? So I'm going to put one here, and forgive me if I don't get it exact, but you'll get the idea. So we have our green piece. It's Mossy Meadow. Great colors in this designer series paper. Makes it super easy to decide, you know, what colors to work with. You just go with the flow. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and put the big one down now. You see how this last one is overlapping on the front of the large circle. So I'm going to stick with that. And you see how this one also goes off to the side a little bit. Okay, I probably could go even further, but now it's stuck, so we won't. And then I'm going to take my last circle and put that on. So here we go. And that's also overlapping a little bit. So let's see, let's go like that. Okay, so it's not exact, but you get the idea. And now we have room for our focal point, and we're going to just put this on here. But before I do that, I want to stamp my, I want to give it some words so that it has some sentiments. And so this particular set has a number of different sayings. I happen to like "You're the best," plain and simple, and "Flying by to say hi." Nice generic card, and it can also be for a birthday or whatever, based on what you write on the inside. So I'm just going to use "Flying by to say hi," and I'm going to stamp it right here and try to get it straight. Let's see. Always a good idea to try to get it straight. I don't know if I did, but there you go. And then we're going to take our airplane and we're going to put it on with dimensionals. So I'm just going to use really 2. I don't need a lot. These are super strong, as you know. Get that on here. And look at that. How fun is this card? I don't know. I just find that to be a great focal point. Not quite done. Always need, not always, but often need a little bling. These are the basic gray and smoky slate pearls. And look at how shiny they are. So I'm going to take out the smoky slate ones, and I'm going to do 1 big one, 2 small ones, as I often do. Get my Take Your Pick tool, take 1 big one off here. I'll put 1 here, and I'm going to get some small ones, so I'll go like that, and I'll put the last one over here. All right, so there's my card. How easy was that? Really did not take a lot of effort, and because the designer series paper feeds you the colors and everything to use, it really makes it easy. So I said, okay, well, you know, that was really easy. Let's let me just do another one to show you what else you can be doing with this. And I came up with this card, and this is using the Nests of Winter bundle in the new upcoming holiday catalog, mini catalog. And so it's not necessarily for the holidays. It has a thinking of you. Actually, all the sentiments in this particular set are not holiday, actually, but you can certainly, I will be using it and putting some Christmas sentiments on here instead from different sets. And the paper in the background is the Nests of Winter, and let's take a quick peek at that. So you see that we have the birch paper, some little pixie things and some flowers. That's one side, but the real highlight of this paper is the birds, which coordinate with dies, and that is how I got these gorgeous birds and berries. This was actually cut straight from the designer series paper. Of course, that sheet isn't here, it's over on my other desk, but this is what it looks like on the paper, and there are a number of them on each of those sheets. So it really makes it very simple to pull together a card. And I just wanted to share with you, see those little gems on there? Aren't they fun? Well, I thought I had them here, but look, they glimmer a little bit. They're glimmer gems. So this is basic beige, and these are basic beige little gems. So that was fun. Okay, so while I was working on these cards, I was also preparing for, I'm going to the Edison, New Jersey Stamp and Scrap Booking Expo tomorrow and Friday, and it goes on Saturday too, and I'm making swap cards, and I knew that I wanted a focal point. I kind of decided once I was playing with this paper, I didn't want to abandon it. I wanted to keep using it. So I was looking to make a swap card. So let me just show you what I ended up coming up with, and I'll show you how I made it. So here is a fun fold card. So here I use the dies, I'll show you that, to create my airplane. And this actually was inspired also by Allison Ephraim. She's a member of my team. She had a video. You can see it on YouTube at Allison Stamps. And that's Allison with a Y, Allyson, Stamps, all one word. Anyway, she did it with flowers, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the fun fold I want to use, because I really wanted to use a circle because I was so inspired by the circles and the focal point, blah, blah, blah. So you can see I used a lot of the same pieces, and it opens like this and then like that. So isn't that fun? So let's go ahead and quickly make this card. I'm making 21 of these, and I'm halfway through. I do them in stages, but I am going backwards a little bit so that you can see how I did some of the measurements, because I think that's, that's kind of the key to the whole thing, right? Is that when you're making a fun fold. So on our paper trimmer, we have two blades. You probably know this already, but this is a cutting blade. The darker one is cutting, and the lighter one is a scoring blade. So we're going to use both of these today. And one easy way to remember is that the lighter color has a lighter touch, and the darker color has a heavier touch, and meaning it cuts. So let's go ahead, and I took a piece of copper clay cardstock, and this is just an 8.5 by 5.5 basic card front, and we're going to go ahead and score this right at 4 1/4, which is what I always do. Okay, so I'm just going to take my scoring piece and give it a nice score, and you can see that it is now scored, and we're going to use that scored line to help us decide how to cut out that front. Okay, and we're also going to reuse that. So we're going to cut to the score line, and I'm going to measure at 1 1/4. So I've got 1 1/4 over here. That's one thing that's really cool that Allison points out in her demonstrations all the time, that we have an 1.5 inch measurement on the side of the cutting blade. And I don't know why I work with it this way. A lot of people work with it the reverse, but this is how I do it. So anyway, I've got it measured at 1 1/4 inches, and I'm taking my cutting blade and I'm pressing down, and I'm going to the score line. See where that is? And the way I know that I'm there is because there's a little line on here that helps you be able to see where you're going. Now, I may not be perfect because I can't get my head right over it, but oh, look at that, pretty good. And then I'm just going to cut that off. Now I could be using scissors for this part, but I've got my trimmer out. I may as well make it nice and straight. And I'm making swap cards. And again, I'm just going to cut to that line that I have. So I did a bunch of these already, and you can see on this one I didn't quite get in that corner, so take a pair of scissors, or I'm just going to pull it out just for now. And that's all we need our trimmer for. So that's the fun folds in general, but we're not quite done. Whoops. I put it away too quick. Forgot that I want to show you one other thing. We're going to use the piece that we just cut off, and I want to put a score line here because this is going to become the flap, and it's about 1/2 inch is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to measure again on this side of the cutting line, and I'm going to use not my cutting blade but my score blade. There we go. And just give it a nice score. I like to go back and forth a couple of times, and now you can see I've got that scored. Okay, so let's show you how that becomes our flap. Let's see, how are we doing? We're going to fold this down, and then I'm going to take a strong adhesive. You could use wet adhesive. I don't know. You know me and wet adhesive. I'm going to use my tear and tape. This is nice and strong, and it really holds up very nicely. So I've just torn a piece of this tear and tape off. Little trick when using this, you press it down onto your paper, and then you take your pick tool and just peel off that. And then what we want to do is line the fold up here at the top of the card. And I'll show you how the mechanism ends up working, but you see we put it up here and we press it down, and then this becomes that fold, and this can then also fold in. That gives you that double fold. Okay, so that is how this card is going to end up working, and that's as simple as it is. I do have all the measurements in the description of the video, etc., both on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can look at that. But let's finish up the card. I've got all my other pieces here, and this is one of my swap cards, so the actual swap cards. So you can see I put a strip of designer series paper at the top to cover up where that where the flap was adhered, so nobody's even going to know that's how that went. And I put a piece of white. This is 4x4, and I decided to put a little extra bit of designer series paper. This is actually the reverse side of that, and it's only 1/2 inch down here. And then I'm going to work on the card front. So very quickly, I take my, where did I put it? Where's all my, I need to grab that. Let me just get my clouds, because I definitely want my clouds. I have a whole stack of clouds over here. Oops, somewhere. Always something when you think of doing a class. Dang it. Sorry about that. We have some cloud paper. I don't know where it is. All right, well, let's pretend that I put a piece of cloud paper here, and that's okay. And then we're going to, everything else actually gets finished up here. So let me just get this out. I'll find the paper as soon as we finish this call. So here you see, this is the cloud paper. So that would go here. And in order to get this circle on here and to get the flap to work, I know that I wanted to put it so these are this circle is cut from Stylish Shapes, and I'm going to put a bunch of adhesive on the bottom of this flap, and I'm kind of lining up my circle where I want it to go. I'm going to put it about here, right in the center, and I've now adhered that down. And then I'm going to do the same thing with, this is the flight plan, I call this designer series paper. See how it does all those squiggly lines, but it's just a perfect background for our focal point airplane. Okay, so there you have how that circle got attached, and you can see it has a nice clean inside. You don't see any loose pieces, so that's how we get that. And then for the airplane itself, we have the 2 dies that we are cutting out from the Adventurous Sky bundle. So here we have all the dies, and we're going to use this one for the base and this one for the detail. And then we also have some propellers. I got a lot of propellers. The propellers are all over my house right now. I dropped them at one point. Oh, you can imagine. But I'm going to die cut out that part of the airplane with this, and this is Smoky Slate, and this is Boho Blue. Oh, I can't see my comments. Somebody's here. There. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining. So here's our, that's how I cut them out. So again, magic of television, voila, here's our airplane. So if you're actually working with this, I just want to give you a trick on how to create your airplane, to put these together, because there's not a lot of space where it's covering, and where you can be sure, because the base of this wing, if you will, I'm going to call that a wing, I don't know what it's called, you'll see actually sticks out. So you'd want to make sure you're not putting adhesive there, because it's going to mess things up. So I actually put wet adhesive, and I've just put a very thin line at the base here. Actually, I did it on here when I did it. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to put it at the front of the airplane. And then I put two little teeny tiny dots on the wheels, just so it holds together. And then I add them to each other. And you can see that I end up with a fabulous little airplane. Not a lot of glue, all good. Okay, and then very last thing for that is we want to put our propeller on. And again, I'm using my Take Your Pick tool and a little bit of glue. And you can have it rotated whichever way you want. I kind of like it like that. And then that will get mounted with dimensionals here. And finally, I'm going to use that flying by to say hi. I'm stamping it in boho blue so that I'm going to adhere it just to the top of the flap. So it'll go right here. That I'll just put the adhesive on the back of the label, making sure that I don't have any extra, right, hanging off. And we're going to open it up like that, and then open it like this. So that's my fun fold that I will be sharing at a class at Expo tomorrow. So Linda, maybe I'll see you there. I know there are a bunch of people from New Jersey going. And if you are, please reach out to me. I would love to catch up with you. But we can also just recall that this is what we started with, and this is what I ended up with, because of those circles and the focal point airplane. So I really love the way that a template can take you in directions that you just didn't even ever expect. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and feel free to go back and look. And again, all the measurements for everything are in the documentation for the video on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page. So happy stamping. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.